Imagine your phone rings, you check the screen, and, it's your spouse.
Right.
So you answer, but instead of a casual hello, they sound just absolutely frantic, like panicked.
Yeah, the worst kind of call.
Exactly. They say they've been in a severe car accident, they're injured, and they need you to wire money immediately to cover an emergency towing fee or something.
And your heart drops.
You panic, but here's the terrifying reality of this. It's not them.
No, it's not.
It's an artificial intelligence clone, and it was built from like a 10-second audio clip they posted on Instagram last week.
It is wild how common that is getting.
It really is. So, welcome to the deep dive. Today we are exploring the reality of digital security in 2026.
And we really want to cut through the IT jargon today.
Right, the mission here is to map out exactly how to protect yourself online right now. We're moving from baseline habits to advanced defenses without, the total info overload.
Because the landscape of how we live online has just shifted so drastically. The threats we're facing, they aren't abstract anymore.
No, they're highly organized.
Right, they're incredibly lucrative industries that are deeply integrated into the platforms you use every single day.
Statistically, the reality is unsettling. Based on the sources we have, specifically FBI data, over a recent 5-year period, they received 3.79 million cyber-attacked complaints.
That number is just staggering.
And it resulted in $37.4 billion lost. And that is just what people actually report.
Exactly. The dark figure of unreported crime is probably way higher.
Right. So, okay, let's unpack this. That volume breaks down to a cybercrime report being filed every 33 seconds.
Wow. Every 43 seconds.
Yeah, that's like a digital break-in happening every time you pour a cup of coffee.
To understand how to survive in this environment, we have to completely change our mental image of a cyber attack.
Right, we mentioned this earlier, but you have to throw away the Hollywood myth of the guy in a black hoodie.
Exactly. The hacker sitting in a basement, furiously typing complex code to break through a firewall. That's just not it.
Today's threats are fundamentally different.
They really are. The modern attack is about behavioral tracking, it's social engineering, and identity theft.
So it's less about hacking the machine and more about hacking the person holding the machine.
Yes, exactly. And the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, recently released data that perfectly illustrates this shift.
Oh, this was the part that really surprised me.
Right, because we tend to assume that older adults who might be, a bit less comfortable with new technology are the primary victims.
Right, the stereotype is the grandparent falling for a scam.
But the FTC data reveals that people under 60 are actually 4 times more likely to report losing money to online fraud than those over 60.
Wait, 4 times more likely?
4 times.
So the digital natives are actually getting hit harder. That is crazy.
It is. Now, older adults do tend to lose higher amounts when they are targeted. The median reported loss for them is around $800.
Which is a huge hit.
It's devastating. But the sheer frequency of younger, highly tech-savvy people falling for these scams, it represents a massive paradigm shift.
So the takeaway for you listening should really be this realization that you are probably significantly more exposed than you thought.
Definitely. But before we start throwing around advice about passwords and software, we have to ask a first principles question.
Which is, what are you actually protecting?
Exactly. Because it's not just about keeping a virus off your laptop anymore.
Right. You are guarding your identity, your bank accounts, your physical devices, and honestly, your personal reputation.
Yeah. And law enforcement agencies use this brilliant mental model to understand this. It's called the crime triangle.
The crime triangle. I like that.
Yeah. So for any crime to take place, 3 elements have to intersect: a victim, an assailant, and an opportunity.
Okay.
Now, you cannot control the assailant, right? The internet is just saturated with bad actors.
Unfortunately, yes.
And you are the potential victim. So the only element of that triangle you have absolute control over is the opportunity.
Taking away the opportunity.
Exactly. Security isn't some piece of software you buy. It's a daily practice of risk management. Your primary goal is simply removing the opportunity.
But wait, I have to challenge that a bit. Isn't security mostly about patching technical bugs? We constantly hear in the news about these highly sophisticated viruses that just force their way into corporate networks.
Right, but what's fascinating here is that you're thinking of zero-day hacks.
Zero-day hacks, okay.
Yeah, those are previously unseen, incredibly sophisticated technical vulnerabilities that software companies don't even know exist yet.
So there's no patch for them.
Exactly. But they are incredibly rare. And hackers save them for massive corporate or national security targets where the payout is in the millions.
So they aren't wasting a 0 day on me.
No, the average person's almost never getting hit with a 0-day hack.
Okay, so what is hitting the average person then?
The vast majority of attacks rely on what we call script kiddies.
Script kiddies.
Yeah, people using cheap, pre-existing software to find easily guessable passwords. Or, overwhelmingly, they use social engineering.
So the biggest attack surface isn't technical at all.
No, it's human. Criminals just ask you for the keys to the front door and people hand them over.
Wow. Okay, so let's talk about how to stop handing those keys over. We are going to establish what we'll call the core layer of security.
The absolute baseline.
Right, these are baseline protections everyone should have. And honestly, if you are not doing this, you are voluntarily exposed. You are leaving the opportunity wide open,
It really starts with password hygiene.
which nobody likes talking about, but it's so important.
I know, I know. But the old advice of using a complex mix of symbols, numbers, and cases like, P at minus is W or dash 12 dash 2 dash 3 exclamation point.
Right, the one that's impossible to type on your phone.
Exactly. That advice is completely dead. The current recommendation from security organizations, and this is actually highlighted in the latest Age UK guide, is the 3 random words rule.
Wait, literally just 3 random words mashed together?
Yeah, 3 totally unrelated words. Think, cupball dog or Rango box.
Cup wall dog.
We
Okay.
now know that when it comes to passwords, length defeats complexity. A 15-character password made of just random words takes a computer centuries to brute force guess.
But it is remarkably easy for your human brain to remember.
Exactly.
But hold on, I have easily over 100 online accounts. I mean, even with 3 random words, I am not memorizing 100 unique combinations.
And you shouldn't try. That brings us to the second non-negotiable in the core layer, a password manager.
Okay, like Dashlane or Keeper or NordPass.
Right. The idea you memorize one single, highly secure master password. Think of your 3 random words.
Right.
Then the manager generates and securely stores unique 20-character gibberish passwords for every single site you visit.
Let me stop you right there, though, because I hear this all the time, but putting every single password I own into one central basket sounds incredibly dangerous.
It sounds counterintuitive, yeah.
If that manager gets hacked, they have my entire life. So how does the manager actually keep them safe?
It relies on something called zero-knowledge architecture.
Zero knowledge architecture.
Yes. When you create your master password, the password manager software encrypts your vault locally on your device. It scrambles everything before it ever sends it up to the cloud.
Oh, before it leaves my phone or laptop.
Exactly. The company hosting your passwords does not have your master password, nor do they have a backdoor key.
Wait, really? So they couldn't see my passwords even if they wanted to?
Nope. All they hold on their servers is a scrambled, unreadable file. Even if their entire system is breached, the hackers just get a digital brick.
Wow.
The only way to unlock it is with the master password resting inside your head.
Okay, that makes sense. That really changes things. But even a perfectly encrypted password manager isn't enough anymore, is it? I mean, if a random clothing website you use gets breached and your password leaks, the hacker still has it.
Which is why multifactor authentication, or MFA, is mandatory.
2-factor authentication, basically.
Right. MFA requires more than just a password. It actually breaks down into 3 specific categories.
Okay, what are they?
Something you have, which is your password, something you have like a text message code or an authenticator app on your phone, and something you are, like a fingerprint or a facial scan.
So even if the criminal buys my leaked password on the dark web, they are stopped dead at the login screen.
Exactly, because they don't have your physical phone in their hand to receive that secondary code.
You successfully removed the opportunity.
You shut the door.
Okay, let's focus on the physical devices themselves. The Android security experts we looked at have outlined some absolute must-do settings for your smartphone.
These are so simple but so critical.
First, set your phone to auto-lock after 30 seconds of inactivity. If you leave it on a cafe table to grab a napkin, you don't want the screen sitting wide open for anyone to grab.
Because they're in.
Right. Second, ditch the 4-digit PIN, upgrade to a 6-digit PIN immediately.
Adding those 2 extra digits exponentially increases the computational time required for a thief's software to guess your PIN. It's a massive upgrade for literally 2 seconds of extra typing.
Totally. Third, never download unverified apps directly from random websites. In the tech world, these are sometimes called APK files.
Right, sideloading.
Yeah, when you download an app straight from your web browser instead of the official Apple or Google App Store, you are entirely bypassing the built-in malware screening processes that those stores provide.
It's basically inviting a vampire into your house.
Exactly. And finally, my absolute favorite setting, you need to enable Power Off Verify.
Oh, this is such a brilliant feature. Let's explain the mechanics of that.
So if someone swipes your phone on the subway, the very first thing they do is try to power it down.
Right, so you cannot track its GPS location.
But Power Off Verify requires your fingerprint or your PIN before the phone is allowed to shut down.
It's genius.
So the thief is suddenly stuck holding a device that is actively broadcasting its location to you, and they can't turn it off.
And at that point, the thief realizes the phone is a tracking beacon, and they are highly likely to just throw it in the trash.
Saving your data. So the final piece of our core layer is safe browsing. The security guides are very clear that you cannot blindly trust a website just because it looks professional or has a little padlock icon in the address bar.
Oh man, people place entirely too much faith in that padlock.
They really do.
The padlock just means the site uses HTTPS. And all these HTTPS does is encrypt the connection between your computer and the website.
Right.
So it means the guy sitting at the next table at Starbucks who's running a packet sniffer to spy on the public Wi-Fi, he will just see scrambled gibberish instead of your credit card number.
Which is good.
It is good, but it does not mean the destination website itself is legitimate.
Ah.
A scammer can easily buy a domain, set up HTTPS encryption, and run a perfectly secure connection to a completely fraudulent site.
That is terrifying. But you also see those trust badges on checkout pages, right? Like the little gold seals that say 100% secure or verified.
Those are completely meaningless. Literally meaningless. A teenager can go to Google Images, search for a secure checkout badge, and just drop that image onto their scam site.
So how do you actually know?
You have to verify the actual URL. Scammers rely on typo squatting.
Like spelling Google with 2 zeros instead of O's.
Exactly. Registering gotagluthan.com, hoping you are typing too fast to notice. And always check if the site has a detailed privacy policy or a physical return address. Fraudsters rarely bother drafting legal documents.
That's a great tip. But here's where it gets really interesting. Because even if you lock down your devices flawlessly, use a password manager, and check every URL, there's a backdoor that hackers love to use that bypasses all this tech completely.
Your own brain.
Your own brain. Let's talk about the behavior layer, because this is where the actual hacking happens today.
The technical tools we just discussed, they only protect the system. They cannot protect you from yourself.
Right. Like we said, the easiest way to bypass a state-of-the-art firewall is simply to ask the user for their password.
It's social engineering. It's the psychological manipulation of a target. Scammers do not want you to think critically. They want you to react impulsively.
And they do this by weaponizing 3 specific psychological triggers, right? Fear, urgency, and authority.
Exactly. Imagine you receive a text message that appears to be from your bank's fraud department. That establishes authority.
Okay.
The message states your checking account has been compromised and will be permanently frozen.
That injects the fear.
Yes. And finally, it says you must click a link to verify your identity within 15 minutes to stop the freeze.
And there is the urgency.
Right. Under that kind of pressure, the logical part of your brain gets completely overridden.
It's like having a state-of-the-art home alarm system, but leaving the front door wide open because someone in a fake delivery uniform said they were in a hurry.
That is the perfect analogy. Neuroscientists actually call it an amygdala hijack.
An amygdala hijack.
Yeah. When you are panicked, the primal part of your brain takes over. You stop looking for typos in the URL. You don't question why the bank is texting from a weird Avia code.
You just click the link?
You click the link, type in your credentials, and the scammer captures them in real time.
And criminals know exactly how to tailor these attacks because of our own oversharing on social media.
Oh, absolutely.
People publicly post their pets' names, their mother's maiden name, the high school they attended. I mean, you are publicly broadcasting the exact raw data hackers need to guess your security questions.
Or to craft a highly personalized spear phishing email. Which brings us back to the scenario we opened the deep dive with, the AI voice clone.
Right. Consumer Affairs has reported a massive spike in this specific attack.
And it is so hard to defend against.
I want to break down why this is so effective. You pick up the phone and it sounds exactly like your child crying for help.
Because the underlying technology has advanced so rapidly. A scammer only needs a few seconds of clean audio.
Which they can just rip from a public TikTok or a Facebook video.
Exactly. And they use that to generate a hyper-realistic digital clone of a voice.
So how do you defend against a machine that sounds exactly like someone you love?
It's hard, but you have to force yourself to listen past the panic. Audio engineers note that while AI can mimic tone, accent, and cadence, it fundamentally struggles with genuine emotional depth and breathing patterns.
Breathing patterns.
Yeah, the voice might come across as slightly flat or robotic. You might notice unnatural pauses, or they might use repetitive phrasing that your loved one wouldn't normally use.
But the scammer is relying on that amygdala hijack.
Right. In an emotionally charged moment, your brain actively fills in the gaps and ignores the poor audio quality.
Another scenario I see constantly from the reports is what I call the government clone.
Oh, this one is infuriating.
It really is. So you are trying to renew your passport or your driver's license. You Google passport renewal, you click the very first link, and the website looks perfectly official.
It has the government seals, the patriotic color scheme.
Exactly. But it isn't the government.
No. It's a third-party service running search engine ads to appear at the very top of the results.
And they take your information and submit it to the real government agency on your behalf, but they tack on this massive, totally unnecessary processing fee.
For a service you could have done for free on the actual .gov website.
And it is entirely legal, but completely predatory.
And it relies entirely on you being in a hurry and not verifying who you're actually doing business with.
Right. So, okay, let's take a breath. What does this all mean? Everything we've covered so far, password managers, MFA, identifying emotional manipulation, that is what most people need to survive the modern internet.
Yes, that is the baseline.
But if you want to reduce your risk even further, or if you simply don't trust the internet at all, there is another level we need to explore.
The advanced layer.
Right.
This is for the highly security conscious. This moves beyond individual devices and looks at network level protection. We mentioned earlier that public Wi-Fi is dangerous because anyone can intercept your traffic.
Which is why security guides highly recommend a VPN or a virtual private network.
Right.
Now, I often hear a VPN described as a tunnel on the internet, but I think a better way to visualize it is like a tinted armored truck driving down the highway.
Oh, I like that.
Right. Everyone else on the road can see the truck, but they have no idea who is inside, what they're carrying, or where their final destination is. A VPN encrypts your entire web connection, hiding your activity and your location from the network provider.
That is an excellent way to conceptualize it. But, we also need to secure the network you use most, your home Wi-Fi.
See, most people think they are safe at home because they have a Wi-Fi password.
Right, but having a Wi-Fi password is just locking the gate to the driveway. Securing the home network actually requires logging into the router itself. You need to change the admin password on the router.
I think a lot of people don't even realize there are two passwords. There is the Wi-Fi password you give out to guests, and then there is the administrative password that controls the actual security firewall of the router.
Exactly.
But how do you even access that admin page?
It requires a bit of friction. You usually have to look at the sticker on the back of your router, find a specific string of numbers and IP address, usually something like 192.168.1.1.
And you type that directly into your web browser's address bar.
Right, and it brings up a login screen. The problem is most routers ship from the factory with a default admin password, like admin or just password.
Wow.
So if a hacker connects to your Wi-Fi and guesses that default password, they can rewrite your entire network security protocols.
Okay, so once you are logged into that router, the guides advise making sure your network is using WPA3 encryption, which is the current cryptographic standard.
Yes.
They also say to turn off convenience features like WP is Wi-Fi protected setup and UPnP, universal plug and play.
UPnP is particularly dangerous.
See, I have to admit, I leave UPnP on because the last time I tried to manually connect my smart TV and my gaming console to the network, it took me 2 hours of messing with port forwarding. Is the risk of UPnP really high enough to justify that headache?
Well, we have to understand why UPnP was invented in the first place. It was designed so your gaming console or your smart TV could seamlessly talk to the internet without you needing a degree in network engineering.
Right, it automatically opens communication ports on your router.
Exactly. The problem is, malware uses that exact same convenience.
Oh.
Yeah, if a malicious file gets onto your laptop, it can use UPnP to quietly open a door in your router's firewall from the inside, inviting more malicious traffic into your home.
Okay, that is bad.
So a little friction spending, that 2 hours to manually configure your devices, is the trade-off. It's the price you pay for keeping unauthorized users out of your digital living room.
Fair enough. The guides also strongly suggest setting up a guest network on your router. Why bother with that?
Network segmentation. Let's say a friend comes over.
Okay.
Their phone is secretly infected with a nasty piece of malware. If they connect to your primary Wi-Fi, that malware can spread laterally to your personal laptop or your network storage drives.
Just by being on the same network.
Exactly. A guest network provides them with internet access, but it builds a digital wall that isolates their device from everything else you own.
That's incredibly smart. And for those who want active surveillance, there are identity monitoring services, right? Like Privacy Guard.
Yes, these act as an early warning radar system. They actively scan public records, credit reports, and the dark web.
The dark web being essentially a hidden marketplace where data brokers sell enormous databases of stolen credentials.
Right, so if your social security number or your email address pops up in one of those underground databases, the service alerts you immediately. You can freeze your credit before a criminal even has the chance to take out a mortgage in your name.
So we have covered the baseline tools, the behavioral traps, and the advanced network defenses. Let's pull this all together into what we call strategic thinking. Because security isn't just a checklist.
No, it is a philosophy of layered defense. You have to assume that eventually one layer will fail.
Right.
If your behavioral awareness lapses and you click a phishing link, your antivirus catches the malicious download. If you are tricked into typing your password on a fake site, your multifactor authentication blocks the hacker from actually logging in.
Redundancy is the only way to survive.
Exactly.
It's about adopting the mindset of assuming breach. One of the technical guides, Signatech, recommends actively turning on tracker alerts on your smartphone. You basically operate under the assumption that someone might already be trying to track your physical location. Your phone will actively scan your surroundings and notify you if an unknown tracking tag, like an AirTag, is moving with you.
Taking a proactive stance changes everything, and really the ultimate fix for the human layer. The best way to fortify your brain against social engineering is simply to verify everything.
Going back to that terrifying AI voice clone scenario we opened with, you are in a panic, the voice sounds real. How do you verify it?
You strip the scammer of their power by breaking the momentum. Scammers rely on keeping you on the phone. The second you hang up, you take away their advantage.
So you just hang up.
You hang up immediately, and you call your loved one back on their known, saved phone number.
A consumer affairs expert recommended establishing a family code word, which I think is just brilliant.
It is.
If someone calls demanding money, you ask for the code word. An AI clone built from a public video won't know it.
It is a simple analog solution to a highly complex digital threat.
It really is. So, as we bring this deep dive to a close, we have to look at the cost of ignoring this reality. And this isn't fear mongering, it's just the environment we live in.
The consequences are severe and long lasting. Falling victim to these crimes means massive financial loss.
Right.
But more devastating is the identity damage. Untangling your social security number and credit history from a fraudster's actions, it takes months of endless phone calls, legal paperwork, and deep emotional stress.
Security is entirely optional, right up until the exact moment it isn't. And by then, the damage is already done.
Exactly.
We want to leave you with one final thought. The security guides talk about how jailbreaking your phone, intentionally bypassing the manufacturer's software restrictions, destroys its built-in security.
Right, it bulldozes the defensive wall around your device.
But even if you have never jailbroken your phone, think about the dozens of mundane apps sitting on your home screen right now.
Oh, this is a great point.
The free weather app, the addictive puzzle game, the custom photo filter. How many of them have you casually granted full access to your microphone, your camera, or your real-time GPS location just because you were in a hurry and blindly clicked accept?
Too many.
You wouldn't install a state-of-the-art alarm system on your front door and then hand the keys to your filing cabinet to a random stranger just because they offered you a free flashlight.
No, you definitely wouldn't.
You might have built an impenetrable digital fortress with complex passwords and encrypted networks, but how many Trojan horses have you already invited inside? Something for you to think about.